Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Random Vids. Yeah, I'm trying something a little different this holiday season. I'm trying a video once a day type thing, starting on Wednesday, ending on Sunday. So, as long as I have time tomorrow, I know I'll have time Sunday, but as long as I have time tomorrow, then I should be making at least one video per day: Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So that is my plan. So stay tuned for videos on Saturday and Sunday as well. I don't know, it's just something brand new that I figured I have tons of time. Why the heck not? So for today's video, for our Friday, our Black Friday, this is a video that I've been thinking of for a long, long time. Ever since I finished the talking about each like different individual movies, as well as like my favorite cartoon dogs and cartoon cats and whatnot. So today I'm gonna limit it to my top 10 favorite cartoon characters of all time. So this video was, but so these characters will strictly be movie-based movies. So sorry, Total Drama and Bluey, maybe next time. And it's gonna be cartoon only, no live action things. So once again, sorry, Airbud Entertainment, maybe another video. So it's going to strictly be, cartoon animated movie characters. Which one of these characters do I enjoy watching? Are they funny? Do they have a great, story throughout the movie? Are they just fun to watch? Are they cute? Are they, just great characters in general? Or, you know, are they well loved by many people as well? Heck, it could be someone like, it could be anybody. It could be the main character, it could be the side character, it could be the villain, it could be the comic relief character, it could be the sidekick character, which I know those type of characters are never really loved that much. Looking at you, Mater from Cars. Well, we'll go through and we're going to talk about my top 10 favorite characters from different animated movies. So expect a lot of Disney and expect a lot of Pixar. That's all I got to say. But obviously, there's so many characters I really like from across the series. So what if I limit it to only 10 characters? That's tough, but it's doable. With that, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let's get started with my 10th favorite movie character. And number 10 would be Berlioz. I mean, who doesn't love kittens, right? Especially cartoon animated ones. So Berlioz comes from the 1970s movie The Aristocats. It's a movie that I used to watch a whole bunch back in the day. However, no longer being able to watch it due to not having any more VCRs, I wasn't able to watch it until just recently back in 2020 when a little app called Disney Plus came out. That way you could watch any Disney movie you wanted. And ever since I was rewatching Aristocats, Berlioz just became my favorite character of the movie and one of my favorite Disney characters of all time. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where you watch the movie, you really like a character, but you don't really know, you're not really sure why. Well, this is definitely one of those instances where, I love the character, I just don't really know why. And I mean, he is a really cute character along with his siblings Marie and Toulouse. But I don't know, something about Berlioz I just always thought was, I don't know. And I love Toulouse and Marie too, but I don't know, something about Berlioz. He's just really adorable. But I don't know, it's just one of those personal preference type things. While all three of them are very enjoyable as well. Berlioz is really cute too, and I love his design with his little red bow tie on as well. Plus, he is the youngest of the three. Honestly, I don't really have much really to say about this character because, he didn't really do anything too major big in the movie to make me be like, whoa, this character is great. Unlike other characters you'll see definitely like higher on the list, like number 2 and number 1. But hands down, even if Berlioz doesn't stand out so much like some of the other characters, he's still a great character and obviously one of my 10 favorite movie animated characters of all time. Even if my list can obviously it'll be a list that will definitely change because it was a hard list to come up with. What are my 10 favorite cartoon animated movie characters? I have no idea. But this was a character I definitely liked, and I think is one that is probably close to a top 10, and as it stands today, would be about top 10. Nothing else I really got to say about the little guy. He's cute, he comes from a great movie, and he's a great character for sure. So, yeah, let's get to number 9, which is Roz. So Roz is one of the many characters from the movie Monsters Inc., which is a Pixar movie. And upon not watching it until what, like 2021, I would say, for the first time ever. Yeah, I can't believe it took me till that long to watch this movie. Well, anyway, with it being a really good movie, it does come with a lot of really, really great characters. And one of those characters is Roz. Although her role in the film is really short, the parts that we do get to see her in is just wonderful and just hilarious. Roz is one of those characters that does not put up with any tomfoolery. And anytime she speaks, it always is, I don't know, she's just so funny. She can just have this straight resting face, but yet it's so hilarious. Which sometimes you don't have to be the comic relief character of the movie to be a funny character. Roz can just be as grumpy as always, and yet still be probably, in my opinion, the most silliest character of the movie. Just everything she does, her movement, the way that she just pops out of nowhere sometimes is just hilarious. All of this just for Wazowski to do his work. His paperwork, that is. And while she does make an appearance in the Monsters University movie, her role in that movie is way, way, way shorter. Which is a shame because she already had a small role in Monsters Inc. anyway. And while once again this is another character who could easily be on an honorable mention or just not even on the top 10, due to there just being so many great, cartoon movie characters out there, I still think she's a funny and great enough character to make it into my top 10 list. Definitely my favorite character from Monsters Inc. by far, and just definitely one of my favorite characters of all time. Also love her voice too. The voice actor killed it. With that, nothing else I really have to say. Roz is definitely a great character. Hilarious one with that without even trying to be hilarious. So with that, let's move to number 8, which is Mama Odie. While there's definitely lots of great characters from Princess and the Frog, some runner-ups being, Louis the Crocodile and Ray the Firefly, and even the main character Tiana herself, I chose the hilarious character of the movie, Mama Odie. And while, Louis definitely has his funny moments, he's definitely more presented as the comic relief character, which normally isn't many people's favorite type of character, but I think Louis is fine. But I think the character that really holds the comic is definitely Mama Odie for sure. She's your basic old granny who's blind and lives in the forest. And I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, it's hard to describe her character, but it's almost like Wizard of Oz in a way. Dr. Felician, whatever, blah, 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 you know who I'm talking about, basically is the bad witch. And Mama Odie is basically the good witch. That's basically what it is. And she's here to help Tiana and Prince Naveen throughout their journeys. And of course singing, in my opinion, one of my absolute favorite songs out of any Disney movie, Dig a Little Deeper. Man, such a great character, and such a great song, and such a great movie overall. Mama Odie is hilarious, and kind of like Roz, she isn't in too much of the movie. I would say she's probably in a little bit more than Roz is. So she does appear a little more, plus she does have, the Tiana's Bayou Adventure ride down at Magic Kingdom. So I think her presence is a little more than Roz, and while both of them are comically pretty even, because they both deliver some hilarious lines, I think Mama Odie has the edge for me just a little bit. Both are great characters, and Mama Odie is hilarious for sure. So, the character that most likely would be a top 10 for me. With that, nothing else I gotta say. Great character. Let's move on to number 7, which is Doug. So Doug is in the 2009 movie Up, which is a Pixar movie, and one of my favorite Pixar movies for sure. Well, Doug is one of the main characters. Well, main side characters, I should say. What are they called? The supporting character? Not supporting characters. We have Carl, who's the main character. Russell is the sidekick character. That's who I'm thinking of. And we later get introduced to Kevin the bird, and of course Doug, who also becomes the sidekick characters. And while basically every character in this movie is great, and while Carl himself is definitely a great character, it'd probably be my second favorite, I think no one just beats Doug. Doug is just a happy-go-lucky dog who just wants to find an owner. Although he already, I guess, kind of has an owner, but he's kind of the runt of the litter, the odd one out. Everyone listens to their master, while Doug doesn't want to do the evil things that his master says. Fair enough. I mean, this character couldn't be evil. Like, you couldn't convince me otherwise. Plus, he's a golden retriever. If you know me, I love golden retrievers, so that's automatically a plus. And he's just a fun character to watch throughout the whole movie, too. It's fun seeing how even if Carl may treat him like garbage, a little bit in the movie, not a lot, but definitely isn't fond with Doug throughout the first half of the movie. But Doug continues to support Carl and help him out throughout his adventures, so it's really interesting and fun to see. Plus, it's nice seeing the end where I believe Carl has adopted Doug at this point now. I'm pretty sure he did. Plus, of course, Doug has the iconic cone of shame moment, too. And I know I'm not the only one who really likes this character. Doug is a really well-beloved character from this movie. Heck, he even had his own spin-off show. I forget what it's called, but basically it just follows Doug being a dog. So, it's cute, but I mean, obviously, nothing compared to the movie. And while the first three options I could pretty much swap in and out of if they were going to even be on top 10s or just simply honorable mentions, I feel like Doug is that first character that really, I would say, would stay in a top 10. Even if it would be further down or up in the list, Doug would still definitely be a top 10 character, just because not only is he my favorite character from the movie Up, but he's definitely one of my favorite dog characters from all the Pixar and Disney movies. Not my favorite puppy character, but definitely a great dog character for sure, and he definitely makes top 10, I would say, for me. So, nothing else I gotta say, but Doug, he's a great character. Who doesn't love dogs? With that, let's get to number 6, which is Kristoff. So Kristoff originates from the very well-known and popular movie Frozen. And while Frozen has definitely a lot of great characters, with a very, very close second coming to Olaf, who is definitely another one of my absolute favorite characters, but in order to allow other movies to have their chance at some of their favorite characters, and to not just have too many characters from one franchise, I decided to limit it to just one character. And yes, Olaf is the sidekick character, so he definitely gets, I wouldn't say a minus point for that, but I could see some criticism with Olaf in there. And while many do like Olaf, and I do too, I feel like Kristoff just has more oomph going for him. He may not be quite as funny as Olaf, but he doesn't really need to be. He's not just trying to be silly throughout the whole movie. He's just silly for, honestly, anything he really does half the time. He's one of those characters who, whatever he ends up doing, is already kind of odd in a kind of dim-witted way, in a way. And especially in the sequel, I'd say. He's great in both movies, and I love how they basically kept his personality unchanged. And while he's definitely smarter than sidekick Olaf, he still has his dim-witted moments. Plus, I love seeing the bonding between him and Anna, and become a very cute couple in the series who would eventually end up getting married by the end. He's just a goofy character altogether. He's almost like Roz in a way where he doesn't need to be funny. He doesn't need to just have some typical comic relief lines in the movie. Whatever he ends up saying and doing, he just automatically ends up being funny anyway. So, I mean, he's one of those characters who isn't necessarily made to be funny, but those are usually the characters who end up being tons of funny. And we'll definitely see that later down the list here shortly, where we have basically the same situation as Olaf and Kristoff, but an even more better representation of that. Instead of just your typical comic relief character, you have a character who isn't necessarily meant to be comic relief, or just not fit the category of comic relief, but ends up being just way better than the comic relief character. And while this is definitely a better comparison compared to the other one, which we'll talk about, which you'll see here in a bit, but I mean, I still love Olaf. He's a great character, and he definitely gets silver medal. Kristoff is probably my favorite character from the Frozen movie, although there's still a lot of great characters from the movie Frozen, but once again, I have to strictly pick one, and it's going to be Kristoff. Plus, of course, instead of a horse, he has Sven the reindeer, because, you know, why the heck not? Great character for sure. With that, let's get to number 5, which is Todd. So Todd originates from the 1980s movie The Fox and the Hound, and, I mean, he is the main character of The Fox and the Hound. While now just realizing that I actually haven't done my top 10 favorite, Fox characters from shows and movies and whatnot. Maybe I'll do that in the future, but I might have to limit it to just 5, since there's really only 5 I can really think of that I actually really like, and I think that are cute. I don't know, maybe I'll make it longer, I don't know. I just don't think I can think of 10 like some of the other ones. Well, if I do make that video, then you better believe Todd will 110% be on that list. Because, man, talk about a great, great, great character. Not only is he adorable as heck, I mean, just look at his design. Like, he's a fox. I love fox characters from movies, especially young ones like Todd. He is just adorable as heck. And I love how he fits the curious character category as well. He's wondering what the world is like around him, so it's fun seeing his adventures on the farm, just learning about everything, as well as meeting friends like um, the owl, I forget her name, Dinky and Boomer, and of course, Copper. And while don't get me wrong, Copper is definitely a great character as well, I just like Todd much better. Because Copper, in a way, almost kind of feels like the comic relief sidekick character in a way. Because Todd is more meant to be the main character, not Copper. Fair enough, and I do love Copper for sure, but I like Todd a little more. I don't know. I just think he's a little cuter. And I guess when they're adults, he's meant to be the good guy of the group too. So there's that. That obviously won't be. Um, that's not me foreshadowing villains because there's definitely going to be villains on this list. That's all I gotta say. And while I'm definitely talking more about the younger versions of Todd's life, like when he's living at the farm with Miss Tweed, or you could even talk about the whole sequel movie, Fox and the Hound 2, which is notoriously known as one of the worst Disney sequels. And while, yeah, it definitely has a lot of weird moments, I don't think it's as bad as people say it is. Like, at least Todd and Copper are young throughout the whole movie, so you get to see a cute fox and cute puppy running around just being great friends. And Amos and Miss Tweed are hilarious in that movie as well. Well, anyway, we're talking about Todd right now. And I do love seeing their friendship get expanded on in the sequel. Where Copper goes and joins a band or whatnot, and now Todd feels kind of lonesome. So, I mean, he's just a cute character overall. And once again, like, when I talked about Berlioz at number 10, he was one of those characters who I liked a lot, but it was more recently that I liked him, and he could switch out with maybe some other characters. Todd, I don't care what day of the week it is, he will always remain in a top 10 for sure. Even if it isn't number 5, he still will always 100% be in a top 10. He is one of my favorite Disney characters of all time. He's just so adorable, and he's a great, great, great main character, and I just love Todd. I love foxes. I love baby foxes. I love baby cartoon animated foxes, so I love Disney. Well, you get what I mean. Todd is a great character from already a great movie that is very nostalgic to me because, childhood. I used to watch Fox and the Hound a lot back in the day, so even if, like, I like foxes, I've seen this movie a lot as a kid, and I already liked Todd and Copper then, too, so they're just great characters. Cute, adorable, and definitely 100% makes top 10 list for me, without a doubt. So, we're already in top 5 now. So with that, let's move on to number 4, which is Maui. Maui comes from the 2016 movie called Moana. I'm already kind of rearranging this list in my head. I could have almost put Todd ahead of Maui just because, I love Maui. I think he's a great character, but I love Todd too. Todd's cute. Maui isn't cute. Well, of course he's not. He's Maui. Well, anyway, with that out of the way, Maui is I guess kind of the sidekick character to Moana. Sort of, unless you don't count Pua or Heihei. And while, once again, Moana has another just great cast of characters, there's no character better than just Maui. Pua would make a close second, but, I mean, Maui in general is just hilarious. He has a lot of funny lines in the movie, and I love seeing him and Moana's friendship throughout the whole movie. They're just fun to watch on the screen. Even if I've seen Moana a bajillion times now at this point, Maui is still a great character, and I was really excited to see what the sequels are going to do with him, just because he's such an invented character. He's kind of complex in a way, too. So it's fun seeing Maui's character throughout these two Moana movies. Now, unfortunately, I think Moana 2 did kind of end before it even began, so it felt kind of like it rushed through a bit, and I do like the original Moana probably a little better than the remake, than the sequel, but, it's still a great sequel. Once again, I think it's a little overhated. But Maui in general, he's just a great, goofy character. Even if he isn't supposed to be the comic relief character, I don't even know who the comic relief character is supposed to be. Is it supposed to be Heihei? I don't know. But hey, I'm fine with this because Maui not only makes a great side character to Moana, but he's also a great he also has a lot of great one-liners in the movie as well. And of course, he sings the iconic "You're Welcome." Don't ask me what song he sung in the sequel because I don't remember. But it was, I guess, catchy too. But obviously, nothing comes close to the "You're Welcome" song from the original Moana. Great character overall, hilarious, and just, obviously one of the best Disney characters of all time. Nothing else I really got to say here with Maui. Great, hilarious character. Let's move on to number 3, which is Gru. If there's a character who makes me laugh more than Maui, then it definitely has to be Gru from the Despicable Me franchises. Talk about just a well constructed character from the start to finish. It starts off with just a lonely guy who's just a supervillain, and he does a really good job at being a supervillain as well, until he later ends up adopting a few kids. This ends up kind of, I don't know how to describe it. They bring the good in Gru, I guess if you want to call it that. And he no longer wants to be a supervillain anymore. Instead, he would rather just have fun hanging out with the girls, which he later adopts officially in the first movie and turns good. By the sequel, he then finds his true love, Lucy Wilde, who they end up getting married in by the end of that movie, which is definitely a great, great movie, and probably my favorite of the not probably, definitely my favorite out of the Despicable Me movies. By the third movie, he then ends up meeting his twin brother Drew, who is equally funny. However, he's only in that one movie. But once again, it gives us more hilarious Gru moments, so I don't care. And then the most recent movie, we get to see them kind of go undercover, and maybe not go undercover, but kind of hide in a way. And this is when they have to like change identities and stuff, and they now welcome a new son who I don't remember the name of. So there's that. But I don't need to because we have Gru. Gru is a hilarious character from the Despicable Me franchise, and even if it isn't a character who I may have thought was extremely funny back in the day, as an adult, I mean, he just has a lot of hilarious one-liners in the movie where he's just way better than the characters who are the comic relief characters, which I think you all know who I'm talking about. Welcome aboard the icons of Illuminations, the Minions, who are once again I think are great characters because I did grow up with them, but you can tell they're easily those sidekick comic relief characters that nobody likes. This is how you do a sidekick comic relief character wrong. For the people who really hate these type of characters, at least, you make the Minions. A whole bunch of them. They're laughing, they're loud, they're obnoxious, they mug the camera, and of course they have sequels that star themselves. Okay, like I said, I don't mind the Minions. I grew up with them, and I still do think that they are funny to an extent, but nothing compares to the main man, Gru himself. So, there is a few characters who I definitely would say is a close second. Like, I do like some of the villains, especially some of the earlier ones. El Macho from Despicable Me 2 is funny, and of course Vector from Despicable Me 1, who is just basically a comic relief meme at this point. And whenever the Migration movie came out in the theaters, they came out with a Mooned short, where it showed Vector on the moon trying to get off, and as well as that one minion, where the minions did come and save, however, Vector ended up being stuck on the moon. But I guess it wouldn't be for too long, because a few months later he would end up in jail, as we'd see in the fourth Despicable Me movie. Definitely hilarious, and I don't know why, but whatever. Plus, just this character's design in general. I mean, just look at his design. I don't even know how you want to describe it. It's almost like he's shaped in the letter V in a way. Plus his bald head and big pointy nose. I don't know, just something about the design of this character is just so goofy. And while he is usually a grumpy character, that just once again makes his one-liners even more better. He's just a really goofy character without being the typical comic relief character, like the Minions are. And while the Minions, I do think have some great funny moments. I mean, obviously, they're nothing compared to Gru. Remember what I was talking about Olaf and Kristoff earlier? This is that other mention that I was talking about. But this is an even bigger difference, where Gru really delivers on his funny one-liners. And great story in general. I mean, just look at him from the first Despicable Me all the way to the most recent one, where the Minions are just your typical comic relief characters that really nobody likes. Once again, I don't mind them, they're just not my favorites. So, Unfortunately, they aren't going to be in honorable mentions, but they're great. Gru's great. Who could top Gru, though? I don't know. Let's go to number 2 and let's find out. Kronk. Kronk originates from the movie The Emperor's New Groove. And remember how seeing how Maui and Gru are funny? Well, Kronk just laughs at their faces. Man, this character is so hilarious. And well, I mean, I guess I wouldn't consider him the comic relief character, but in a way, I don't think there's really any other character in these movies that try to be funnier than Kronk. So he's one of those comic relief characters done right, I guess, in a way. I don't know. He's better than the Minions, I'll say that, and he's definitely better than Mater from Cars, I'll say that. And yeah, he's better than Timon and Pumbaa as well, I will also say that. Well, Kronk is actually the sidekick to the villain of the movie, Yzma. And while I was really tempted to put Yzma on the list, once again, my main rule is only one character from a series from the top 10s. And it was really hard to choose between both of them because Yzma and Kronk together are just great characters, and one or the other just wouldn't fit. But if I had to pick one, I'd probably have to pick Kronk, mainly due to the fact that he did have his own movie himself, which, well, yeah, not as good as the original, it's definitely one of the best sequels out there, because it stars everyone's favorite character, Kronk. And it's neat seeing his life now without, almost in a way, without Yzma and without being a villain anymore. So it's nice seeing him do things like help the elderly, as well as eventually find a girlfriend, just to make his puppy proud. Kronk is really a great character, and even if he is meant to be the villain, the last thing he does is act like the villain most of the time. And of course, he stars in the TV show as well. No, I know, I'm not supposed to count TV shows in this series. And because I am counting him as a movie character, if I do a video like this in the future where I talk about my favorite cartoon characters, it will strictly be cartoon things, no movie really characters. So yeah, Kronk obviously is definitely one of the best characters. One of my favorite cartoon characters of all time. He's just so great. He's goofy, and he's one of those characters that can carry like a movie. Unlike characters like Mater from Cars, who is just your typical sidekick comic relief character whom most people don't really like anyway, yet they carry the movie, and same with the Minions. They end up carrying the movie just because, I don't know, for the kids, which I guess is fine, but I mean, even those characters, I don't hate as much as other people do, but man, they just don't compare to Kronk. Kronk is easily one of the best side characters and one of the best characters from any, cartoon movie of all time. Yeah, there's a lot of Disney on this list. I told you there is. Just because I just love a lot of Disney characters. And Kronk is definitely one of my favorite Disney characters of all times. And I was really tempted to put Kronk at number 1 as well, but it was him and one other character that we'll talk about in a minute here, where they were both really flipping back and forth. So depending on the day, either one could be number 1. But man, Kronk hands down is still one of my absolute favorite cartoon characters of all time, and it shows. I mean, he's just such a great, lovable character. And of course, he's hilarious as well, with a lot of hilarious moments. So yeah, Kronk, definitely one of the best characters, and definitely the best character, well, alongside Yzma as the best characters from The Emperor's New Groove. So like I said, it was close between the two, but I figure since Kronk starred in his own movie, I guess I'd give him the edge over Yzma. But don't say I'm definitely not going to mention her. Speaking of mention her, let's talk about our honorable mentions before we get to number 1. Thumper. So Thumper originates from the movie Bambi. Bambi was a very big childhood movie for me. I loved it back then. I still like it now. I've seen the sequel, and it's equally as great. But my favorite character from the movie has always been Thumper, just because, once again, bunnies are adorable, and Thumper delivers as, an adorable, great sidekick to Bambi. And while Bambi is great, and as well as Flower, they're both great, but I think Thumper takes the lead of the three. And in my opinion, Thumper is probably my favorite character from Bambi. He's a cute character and great character overall, so he doesn't make top 10, and he probably won't ever, but he definitely would at least make honorable mentions. Drizella and Anastasia, namely Cinderella 3. While they were both your typical villain characters in the original movie, they definitely had a much more interesting twist along with their mother in the third movie, where Lady Tremaine takes the fairy godmother's wand and turns back time before, Cinderella met Prince Charming. such an interesting movie, and easily the one of the best of the probably the best of the Disney sequels, honestly. And two characters that received a major upgrade in that movie was Drizella and Anastasia. Now they're basically just fighting with each other, which is really hilarious to see. And they both just are downright goofy in general. And especially Anastasia in a way, because she ends up becoming she ends up turning honestly into a hero by the end of the movie, which is really nice seeing the character development in just one of the Wicked stepsisters. Like, wow. Like, and this is a Disney, not, well, I guess it's the third one, but man, like, they actually put a lot of character care into this movie, and it's fun seeing the character development in Anastasia, where she just wants to find true love, and she ends up turning good by the end of the movie. It's great. And I mean, these are two hilarious characters. So while they weren't anything special in the original, I think the third movie in general is what makes these two characters just hilarious. And anytime they're on screen is just hilarious to watch. I love it. Amos Slade and Miss Tweed. While Miss Tweed was great in the original movie, and although Amos Slade was more of a below average character for me, due to him causing many of my least favorite parts of the original movie, I do think both of their characters are hilariously funny in the sequel. And not only are they just both hilarious when they're together on screen, but they both have a lot of funny moments. Like, two times in a row where Miss Tweed throws a pie into Amos's face, or they're just chasing each other around to eventually both looking for their pets together and telling each other, hey, if we find your pet will let you know. So I think they have something romantically going on there. Although I guess this would be before Amos tried to shoot Todd, so it's a little odd, but whatever. I don't care. I don't prefer Amos as the villain anyway. And because he isn't seen as the main villain in this movie, it's nice seeing just both of these characters be just downright goofy in the sequel. So they're definitely some of the best parts of the sequel too. I will say that between them and Todd, I will say between them and Todd and Copper, I would say I just like I said like Todd better than Copper. So sorry, Copper fans. And of course, Amos and Miss Tweed are hilarious in this movie as well, chasing each other around. It's goofy. Like, what else need I say? They're great characters of the sequel for sure, and are hilarious enough to make my honorable mention list. Oliver, one of my favorite Disney movies of all time, probably my favorite Disney movie of all time, Oliver and Company, stars one of the most adorable animated kittens in TV shows. That being, of course, Oliver from Oliver and Company. And he's just an adorable character altogether. I mean, once again, just look at his design. He's just, I don't know what type of breed he is. Probably an orange tabby kitten, knowing him. But he's just adorable. Like, he's a cartoon kitten. Once again, what else did I say? And he's the main character of the movie. But he's not the only character from this series that I actually have on my honorable mentions. The other two characters are Tito and Georgette. These are the two, as I like to call, comic relief characters of the movie. I guess there isn't really much of a comic relief character in the movie, so here's your comic relief characters. And these two characters are hilarious. Tito is a Chihuahua, and honestly, he's kind of cute. Where Georgette, on the other hand, I believe is a poodle, and she is that sassy queen character, if you know what I mean. And Tito has a crush on Georgette, which is hilarious since they're both like complete opposites. But okay, it's a hilarious mini side story throughout the main story, which is just hilarious in general. Plus, they're just two, once again, great characters in Oliver and Company. Yzma. Like I said, it was between her or Kronk. Otherwise, both of them would probably make it into my top 10 favorite cartoon. But I wanted to kind of challenge myself in a way. So, Yzma is by far easily my favorite villain, probably out of any, like, cartoon movie out there. She's just so hilarious. And not only is she just funny on her own, but she has Kronk too, which also has both, which anytime both of these characters are on screen is just great. Heck, I would almost rather see a movie with just both of these characters in it than the main characters. And the main characters are great too, but just the way they designed Yzma and Kronk, or the way they just made Yzma and Kronk work in the story is just so perfect. They're just so hilarious. So, unfortunately though, Yzma couldn't make in the top 10, but she 100% gets honorable mentions if she can't make top 10. Sergeant Calhoun. Hope I said that right. Anyway, she is one of the side characters in Wreck-It Ralph. And, well, once again, Wreck-It Ralph has a lot of great characters like the main man himself, Ralph. I think Sergeant Calhoun is probably the funniest of the characters. She's your typical, once again, another sassy character who doesn't let others push her around. That's for sure. and she's the main leader of the video game. I don't remember what it's called. Hero's Duty. That's what it is. So yeah, she definitely acts more like the boss and the leader, opposed to, you know, other people telling her what to do. But she has a fun story with Fix-It Felix in the movie, and it's fun seeing both of their journeys together. Plus, she has an interesting backstory as well. So it's fun seeing her character develop as the movie goes on, and unfortunately we didn't get to see much of her in the sequel. At least she was still in the sequel, and the parts that she's in is, of course, funny. Plus, if you know Total Drama, she reminds me of Joe from Total Drama. Both of them kind of have that same personality in a way. And Joe is one of my favorite characters from Total Drama as well, so ain't that funny. Olaf. Well, I feel like characters like him aren't ones that people necessarily like as much. I feel like Olaf is one that people maybe like a little more than others, especially hardcore Disney or Frozen fans. And while, like I said, there's lots of great characters in Frozen, Olaf definitely makes second place for the Frozen characters, I would say. Because, yeah, his main role is just the comic relief character, so he doesn't really have much else of a story besides being the comic relief character. But compared to some other comic relief characters, I feel like he's done much better. He doesn't just mug the camera the whole time with some unnecessary stuff in the movie. Everything that, happens in both movies feel necessary with Olaf in it. He's just a great character overall, and once again, is really goofy and does have a lot of funny moments. I mean, he is the comic relief character, so what do you expect? He, of course, is going to have some funny moments. Because he's the comic relief character for 2 movies, so within all the jokes, there'll be something you'll probably laugh at, even the people who aren't biggest fans of Olaf. But while not a character I would put on my top 10 favorite list, he's definitely great enough to definitely at least make honorable mentions. Bruno. One of the most random characters from the movie Encanto, but he ended up turning into such a big meme with the song We Don't Talk About Bruno. I don't know why that song became such a big popular hit, but hey, why the heck not? It can overtake the then Goliath Let It Go, which thank God it did, because this song is way better than Let It Go. And Bruno himself is an interesting character. He's one of the 3 triplets, and he ended up going missing. So he can predict the future. And a lot of people aren't the biggest fans of what he can predict, because it always ends up turning bad. And because he went missing, everyone just says, we don't talk about Bruno. Which, of course, ended up turning into a big meme around this time when the movie released. And while I didn't see it when it came out, I did watch it a few years later, and I do definitely like Encanto. For a modern Disney movie, it's great, for sure. And Bruno, he's probably my favorite. He is my favorite character from the movie. It already has a lot of great characters, but Bruno's just a hilarious character overall. So, yeah, nothing else got to say. Chloe from Secret Life of Pets. Chloe is, in my opinion, the comic relief character of the Secret Life of Pets movie. She has lots of funny moments between the whole party house scene where she's just being, a cat and running into any silly situation that could possibly happen. And the flirting between Pops and her is hilarious as well. She basically is a definition of a cat. She has an attitude, or as we like to call it, a catitude. Okay, sorry about the puns. She's probably, in my opinion, my favorite out of the main characters from both of the Secret Life of Pets movies. She's just a hilarious character in general, and she has a lot of funny moments just for the fact because they really nailed it with her character acting like, a cat. So, and I think they did a perfect job of, Chloe's character. She's a hilarious character and definitely one of my favorites from Secret Life of Pets. But that's not it. The other honorable mention goes to anyone that's in Pop's puppy school, not including the leopard. She's fine, but, she's no puppy. Well, we have, of course, Pickles, Tiny, and Princess, the 3 main puppies from Pop's puppy school. Tiny being, I guess, Pops' owner's dog, and then everyone else just kind of shows up whenever. So all 3 of them are already adorable. And then there's 2 other ones which have no name and just kind of exist, but hey, they're still cute. And a cat, okay, a kitten, because it's called a puppy school. So let's just bring a cat into this. No, I'm joking, because the kitten is really cute as well, and for some reason he actually does have a name. His name is George, which is silly how he has a name, yet the other puppies, the other 2 next to him, do not. But I don't care. George is a cute character, and George is cute along with all the other puppies, so I don't mind him being there as well. And he's a Siamese kitten, so they can be cute as well. And I mean, just look at this scene in general. All of them giving puppy eyes, including George the kitten. It's adorable, and adorable enough to easily make honorable mentions. Next, we have Dax. I could do basically any character in Migration because they're all just great and fun to watch. Definitely one of my favorite Illumination movies, by the way. But my favorite of the movie would have to be Dax, who is the son of Mac and what's her name? Pam. Dax has the personality of the typical young, cool boy character. And he meets a girl beginning of the movie who he ends up liking. And he has a younger sister named Gwen. And both of them have the fun brother-sister sibling rivalry, which is always fun to watch. But one of my favorite parts of the movie, which I think is the reason why he does end up making it to honorable mentions, is the scene where he tries to help out all the other birds or the ducks or whatever was getting captured. I don't remember. I've only seen this movie one time. But he's trying to save them, yet the chef comes over and traps him in something. And he ends up getting his Dax's wings all messed up. So of course Mac finds out and attacks the chef. And Dax is now flightless. And after getting yelled at by his dad, he ends up not knowing what to do from there. But eventually, when him and Gwen end up saving their parents from that same chef that ends up capturing them later, I believe from the help of Gwen, they end up giving Dax feathers so he can fly. It's just such a cute scene of the movie, and I mean, Dax is a cute character in general, so why the heck not? I think he's a great character, and he definitely deserves honorable mention for me. And if it's not honorable mention, then potentially top 10. Who knows? Like I said, my opinions on top 10 could change, but yeah, Dax is a great character for sure. Next character is the fairy godmother from the Shrek 2 movie. Once again, another just great and hilarious villain from the Shrek 2 movie. Without her, there would not be Shrek 2. She's just a great villain in general, and of course she sings the iconic I Need a Hero scene in the movie. It's just such a great scene of the movie. And the rising action to that part of the movie is just great. So she's definitely a great character and definitely good enough for honorable mentions. Next character is Gladys Sharp. Over the Hedge has never been one of my absolute favorite movies of all time, but there's one character in particular who is just downright hilarious, and that of course being Gladys Sharp. So all these animals are sneaking into her yard and are eating trash, and from the animals' perspective, she is the villain of the movie, and I guess she kind of is. But on the human side of things, you can kind of understand what she's doing. There's a bunch of animals in her yard, so she calls the exterminators. I mean, fair enough. But everything about this character just screams hilariousness. From her design to her being just basically the Karen of the neighborhood, to just her movement, to just, her actions, to just everything that she does in this movie is just so hilarious. I love the first scene, too, where where she can be seen driving and she's on the phone and I forget what she says, but something like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm just driving." And then she's there on the phone. It's like, okay. It's just hilarious. And her voice actor nailed it as well. She did a great job voicing this character because, man, it just sounds great. And while this movie is a good movie overall, it's never been one that I really generally loved. And it was a character, well, I should say this. This is one of those characters who I was never really a big fan of back when I was a young kid watching this movie, just because, I mean, as a young kid, she wasn't really one of my favorite characters. I'm here to see the animals. But as an adult, she's hilarious, and she definitely makes this movie for sure. This next one's a silly one. Griffin, the Invisible Man from the Hotel Transylvania series. While honestly, I could pick basically any character from this series, because a lot of characters from Hotel Transylvania are good, from the main character himself, all the way to, any of the young wolf cubs. Whatever. All these characters in these movies are great. And one of my favorites is Griffin, the Invisible Man. I don't know what it is. I think it's just the fact that it's just a pair of glasses walking around the whole time just makes it. It's just so hilarious. And the fact that they make the glasses act like eyes Like they'll slout downwards if he's mad, or like the opposite way if he's sad. It's just so goofy seeing just a pair of glasses walking around. I think that's the main reason why Griffin is probably my favorite character from the Hotel Transylvania series. It's just goofy. Like, what else need I say? And our last character on the honorable mentions is Dean from the movie The Iron Giant. Dean is one of those characters who can be in just basically any setting and he'd just be downright goofy. He almost kind of reminds me of like Kristoff or like Maui in a way where he doesn't need to be the comic relief character of the movie. He's still just a goofy character in general. Plus, I love his relationship with our main character, Hogarth. And of course, the secret love interest with his mom, which is goofy. So we're here to assume that most likely he will be the eventual father to Hogarth. And like characters like Kronk and whatnot, he has a lot of funny one-liners as well. One of my favorite parts of the movie, or one of the silliest parts of the movie, I should say, is when Hogarth is going swimming and the Iron Giant runs in and does a like giant cannonball, which ends up sending a tsunami wave, towards the whole forest. And Dean just happens to be sitting right in front of that tsunami, and he ends up getting just completely flooded over, and he ends up somehow in the middle of the road, and a car comes passing by, probably wondering what the heck a random guy is doing sitting in the middle of the road. Yet the tsunami somehow didn't affect the guy in the car. A lot of plot holes here. No, I'm joking. Dean is a hilarious character, and in my opinion, he's my favorite character from this movie, The Iron Giant. The Iron Giant is one of those movies that I've only seen one time, but it's a movie that I really do need to rewatch again. It's on my rewatch list. It's definitely one I do want to rewatch again. But Dean definitely is a great character, and definitely makes honorable mentions for me. And could potentially make a top 10 at one point. With that, let's get to my favorite cartoon animated movie character, and that character would be Perrito. Let me know down in the comments if you saw this one coming or not. So, Perrito starts from the most recent Puss in Boots movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. And I've said it before and I'll say it again, I love Perrito. He's such an adorable and just great character in the Puss in Boots franchise. Now, him and Kronk were very close on who was going to be number one. On one hand, I love Yzma and Kronk for their comic relief moments and how they're great villains, but I also love how they got the stereotypic comic relief sidekick character right. They finally got it done right. Characters like Mater and the Minions, I don't mind them, they're fine and all, but come on, do they compare to Perrito? Absolutely not. Let's start with this. Perrito is a doggy. Who doesn't love doggies? I love doggies, whether they're real life or if they're animated, video games, you name it. Dogs are probably my favorite, the dogs are my favorite animals of all time. So he is a dog, and I love his design. He's adorable. And his role in the movie is great too. Now, he might start off as just it could almost seem as the comic relief sidekick character to our main character, but it isn't to a point where he gets annoying really at all in the movie. Because not only is he just downright adorable, like, come on. You can't say no to him. And, his role in the movie is really interesting. You know how there's the character Death in the movie? Well, I've seen this before somewhere else, where a lot of people say that Perrito and Death could potentially be good friends. Is Death the villain? I guess kind of, but he's one of those villains that you could almost, you can understand. Death is Death. Of course he's going to be a villain. But that's just his job. So, if you think of it this way, Perrito is almost the complete opposite of Death. He's nothing but ray of sunshine and happiness. That's literally him. He could be tormented, thrown in a sock with a rock, and completely away from his family, and be bullied and manipulated by them, and he still won't care. Like, he'll just think that it's some sort of silly game, and he's just a happy-go-lucky, adorable, and great character of the movie. And I obviously know I'm not the only one. Many people praise Perrito's character. I haven't met one character who hates Perrito. I met people who think Perrito isn't their favorite character of the movie, or, he's not their favorite character of all time, but I've never heard someone downright say Perrito is horrible. He should have never been in Puss in Boots 2. Every single person, whether that's people I know or like my friends, or comments even on different videos I've seen, everyone loves Polito. And it shows. They really did shine with this character. And I mean, it shows, and unfortunately, that's the only thing we've ever seen Polito in. We are getting a Shrek 5 in the future, though, and it does show Puss and Kitty and Polito sailing off to the far, far, far away land, so who knows? We could see Polito again in the fifth Shrek movie. But, I guess the reason why people maybe wouldn't like Polito is the one tiny, tiny, tiny little scene in the movie where he's off doing a cussing fit. Yes, I'm not a big fan of cuss words, especially in kids' movies either, but if you get rid of that one tiny, tiny scene in the movie, doesn't that make it better? Right? It does make it better, right? Now you don't have that scene that, could easily be skipped by using one little skip thing. Which it personally doesn't bother me because, come on, if Polito is my favorite character, of course, him throwing off a few cuss words in one tiny section of the movie is not going to bother me. Well, and with that, of course, we have one of the most iconic scenes of all time. The scene where Puss in Boots has that anxiety attack, or that panic attack, and Polito is there to the rescue. Normal comic relief sidekick characters normally wouldn't do this, and Polito didn't need to do this either. They didn't really need to construct this typical side character this well. And honestly, I probably wouldn't even think twice about it if it wouldn't be for this, well, not just this scene, but a lot of other parts of this movie just makes Polito so great. But it's just a silent scene. Nothing is going on, like, besides Puss in Boots having a panic attack. Polito doesn't know what to do, so he just simply lies his head down on Puss's belly. And Puss in Boots immediately then feels better afterwards. It's just such a touching scene in the movie. And while it's never happened to me where I've had panic attacks or anything like that, you can just tell they really did a great, great job constructing this scene in general. And I love the way that they did it. And you also want to know something else funny, where in the beginning of the movie, Polito wanted Puss in Boots to rub his belly, because he wants to be a therapy dog in the future. But he admits he isn't really that good at it. Well, just look at this scene in general. I think that speaks for itself. Polito does an amazing job of helping Puss in Boots feel better. And ever since then, I feel like Puss really starts to, what's the word? Tries to look after Polito a lot better, if you know what I mean. I don't know what the word is, but he really respects Polito, I should say. And obviously the two have a great friendship throughout the movie as well. And Polito is one of those characters who just doesn't hate anybody. He can be friends with the heroes, he can be friends with the villains, and he isn't even trying to be a villain. He's just a happy-go-lucky character, which, once again, like I explained already with Doug, who doesn't love dogs, and who doesn't love happy-go-lucky characters? And yeah, Polito does have some funny one-liners here and there too, but he's just a cute and just great character of the movie, so who wouldn't love Polito? Okay, yeah, aside from that 1 minute scene where he's swearing, that's, eliminate that scene, then you have a basically perfect, sidekick comic relief character, a character that many movies and TV shows do so poorly at. Like, look at Mater from Cars, or the Minions, where, once again, characters I don't mind, but I know those are characters that people do not like because of the fact that they don't do them well. They just are loud, obnoxious, in your face, and they don't have any relevance to the movie at all. They would never do something like Polito is doing here, lying his head down on Puss to help him feel better. Like, Polito actually works really well in the movie, and I know a lot of people were going in with some low expectations for Polito, but after seeing, not even just the scene, but the whole movie in general and what they were doing with him is just so wonderful. There's so many different theories on, like where Polito came from and stuff. And like, is he friends with Death and whatnot? Plus, with all that, he's just a cute character in general. So even if he wouldn't be number one, I'd say he'd probably be number two then at least. Because like I said, the only character that really has any competition against him is Kronk from The Emperor's New Groove. Just because Kronk is also one of my absolute favorite characters of all time. But after seeing Polito, I don't know. I think for now, Polito would have to be my favorite cartoon animated character of all time. Which, yeah, may be silly to say. I know people love the Lion King characters or love the Aladdin characters, which are cool and all, but man, they just constructed Perito so well, and you can't compare to characters like this. Like I said, the only character who has any chance of making it into number one would be Kronk. And I'm sure both these characters will be switching back and forth between who my favorite is and who is number two. And honestly, when I was thinking about this list, the two characters who I immediately thought of was Kronk and Perito, because I knew these were two of my absolute favorite cartoon animated movie characters of all time. And they probably will remain as some of my favorite cartoon animated movie characters of all time. They're just constructed so well. So Perito is, in my opinion, my favorite cartoon animated movie character of all time. That I've seen, at least. With that video ended up being much more longer than I thought, but there's just so much information to give, about all these characters. Plus, on all the honorable mentions really eat up time. But with that, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did like it, maybe I'll do something like this in the future where I talk about, like, maybe live action characters. Or, characters from cartoons, which is some I probably will do in the future, at least for cartoons. But with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys probably tomorrow with another video, plus Sunday. So stay tuned till then. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you guys have a happy Thanksgiving weekend, and great vacation off of work and school, and I'll see you next time. Have a great day.